Hey, what's going on, vets? So I got a question for you guys because I'm curious about this. I've gotten a lot of comments lately off a particular video that I did about the Department of Veterans Affairs as well as the U.S. government looking at ways to take money away. But we always talk about the negative with the Department of Veterans Affairs, right? And we never really talk about the positive things that the Department of Veterans Affairs have done for a lot of veterans. A lot of times we focus mainly on monetary things like getting a clothing allowance or getting aid in attendance or getting the auto grant. But the Department of Veterans Affairs, as well as Social Security, when it comes to the medical side, have done a lot of great things for a lot of people that really go unnoticed because, again, the headlines are usually the negative news. Very rarely, do you hear a lot of positive news when it comes to the U.S. government doing things for veterans. So let me give you an example. I remember I had an issue once where my leg went numb. I fell down a flight of stairs. I was totally unconscious. I had to go to a different hospital before they transferred me to the Department of Veterans Affairs. When I was at the Department of Veterans Affairs, I was treated great. I had not one issue. They had me in my own room. There was a single room they had me in because at the time, though, just to be fair, at the time I had a slight cold, and they won't put you in a room with someone if you're sick. They're going to put you in a room by yourself. But the entire time I was in there, because I had a head injury, they kept a private nurse in the room with me. I had my CPAP, anything that I needed, they got it right away, all the medication, and they took care of me because I was in there for a week. I was in the hospital for a week. Not one issue. When I checked out of the hospital, I didn't know if I was going to have a bill or not, so I got my credit card in my hand expecting to pay something. The only thing I had to do was sign a signature. Just give a signature, and that was it. The other hospital that they took me to, the VA paid the bill. I didn't have to do anything. So that's just one example of a positive experience I personally had with the Department of Veterans Affairs. I mean, I could go through dozens, of issues where even, take for example, when I bought my first home and I used the home grant to buy my home. Bro, that was the easiest process I ever had. I had a realtor. The realtor had me go to the title company where I had to get my grant from the VA. They got it like that, man. I closed that house within 45 days. Done. I'd heard all these horror stories about this and that. It just goes to show you, man, everybody's experiences are different. Like I said, normally you hear a lot of negative things about the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I'm guilty of it as well. And I'm not saying that the VA is perfect or Social Security is perfect or any government program is perfect. But there are a lot of times, guys, when we are given things or things are done for us by our U.S. government that they don't get the credit for. So I'm just trying to be fair about it because some of the comments that I got where everything is just negative. And when I asked them, I said, okay, so you service connected for whatever the issue was, right? I said, okay, how much of a bill that you had to pay? What was your bill? Well, I didn't get a bill. So I'm thinking, okay, so you're complaining that they saw you a day after you wanted to be seen, but when you did get seen and got everything taken care of and they gave you the medication and everything you needed, what was the bill that you got? You didn't get one. So I'm just saying, man, we got to be appreciative sometimes of the things that we do get rather than always focusing on the negative about the situation. Because I can tell you, there are veterans who go to the Department of Veterans Affairs weekly, almost every other day. You will not hear those people complain about one thing. The people who couldn't get around and they got a scooter now. The people who had no way to get there and the VA provides a ride for them, right? There's always a positive in everything. And again, I'm not saying they're perfect. No way am I saying they're perfect. But they do a lot of good things for a lot of veterans that go unnoticed. And usually it's because a veteran's upset about one or two particular things they think they're entitled to, or they're supposed to get, or they haven't gotten it yet. But I'm curious to know from you guys who are watching this, what has been your overall experience with the Department of Veterans Affairs? I know that every person who goes does not have a negative experience when they go. Now, does it happen? Of course it happens. We're human beings. We're dealing with other human beings. People can have bad days, okay? But for the most part, how has your experience been with the Department of Veterans Affairs wherever you are? Okay, because for me, my favorite VA location is San Diego. It's San Diego in Mission Valley. That VA, bruh, that could be my permanent VA from whatever point on, because it's those of you who've been following me for a while, and this is the last thing I'll bring up about it. When I was in the Dominican Republic, I had an issue with my knee brace. I needed to get a knee brace. Didn't know how I was going to get it. You know, they're not supposed to ship you anything like that abroad. I talked to my doctor in San Diego, and I wasn't living in the DR permanently at that point. I was still living in Yuma, but I was being seen in San Diego. And I told him what the situation was. My knee brace broke. I can't really get around like I need to because my knees bother me. I can't stand on it and do whatever. Within 2 days, 48 hours, they sent it FedEx, and I had my new knee brace right there in the Dominican Republic at my address, the address that I gave. So I have a lot of positive stories about the Department of Veterans Affairs. I have some negative stories, but I'd rather focus right now on some of the positive things, because I think sometimes new veterans or soldiers who are becoming veterans, they hear a lot of this stuff and they get worried and they're like, well, I don't know how this is going to get handled, how this is going to get taken care of. Let's share some of the positive things that have happened. Like, some of us have been in the VA system a long time, a long time. And some of us are new to the system, right? But just give your overall opinion of how your care's been and where you're getting care. Because I can tell you, my experience in California, best I've ever had. The bulk of my experience has been through Phoenix, Arizona. It's been okay. Carl T. Hayden Medical Facility in Phoenix, Arizona. You know, it's a couple notches under what my experience was in Mission Valley. I've been to the one in Alabama. I've been to the one in South Carolina. I've been to the one in New York. I've been to the two in Florida. I've been to Miami. I've been to the one that's in Fort Lauderdale, the William King Clinic. I think that's all the ones I've been to in the States, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's all of them that I've been to in the States. But out of all the ones I mentioned, California, Mission Valley, La Jolla, best experience I ever had. Best experience, by far. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I wanted to share that with you all, and I'm curious to get you guys' opinion. If you wouldn't mind leaving it below in the comments section, your positive experience with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Everybody's got a negative story. I got tons of negative stories, and I may do that in the next video. But in this first video, though, I just want to focus on the positive experiences I've had and you've had with the Department of Veterans Affairs. That's it for this video, guys. I'm out. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your day.